Today on Lockdown Red Wings, we are going to just bitch about this 7-5 loss to the Edmonton Oilers.
You're Locked On Red Wings, your daily podcast on the Detroit Red Wings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Scotty, did you know bitch is actually a word you can say on the radio?
I didn't even non-on-air conversations between us involve so much cursing that I literally didn't even realize that you had dropped that in the cold open. I was like, oh, what?
No, yeah, that's so there's like
I did know that now, actually.
Yeah, 7 deadly words that you can't say, and I won't be listing them off even on a podcast format because we're technically, for all ages. But I think when it's your 6th straight loss and you're 2-8 in the last 10 games,
and
both those 2 wins
games
came in overtime, and look at the games. I think we warranted 1 or 2,
I think we warranted
words
one
being
of them.
dropped.
Absolutely. I think it was warranted. Get it out of the way early too. Set the tone. We're tone
set the tone. The tone, yes, the tone is set. Welcome back to the Lockdown Red Wings podcast. We are your hosts, Brian Fisher and Scotty Bentley. We are fired up because, well, I mean, you all know. If you're a Red Wings fan, you know what happened last night. You know. Scotty's also host at
I don't know.
Locked On Tigers.
Explain it to me, please.
You're about to find out. You're gonna learn today.
You're gonna learn today.
Thanks for making Locked On Red Wings your first listen every single day. We are free and available on all platforms. YouTube subscribers, $4.97. I'm gonna do a live update right now at 12:15 at night. Where are we at right now? $4.98. 2 subscribers to 500 people. What are you doing?
We're also like 5 followers away on Twitter from 2K.
Oh, my Lord. People, do your jobs. I'm not asking. I'm telling. Anyways, on today's docket. Yeah. Scotty. Who you want to, you know what? Go ahead and lead it off because I know I have a lot to say.
Sure. Hey,
just go.
Sure.
Take it from me. I don't even want to at this point.
The first 4.5 minutes of the game were some of the worst hockey I've ever seen in my entire life at any level. I just covered high school hockey last week for the Detroit News. First 5 minutes of that easily was worse than anything I had watched over the last weekend. Not even really close. Horrific goaltending. Grice was not there. Just not his day, clearly.
What an enigma he is, too.
Yeah. Well, we'll get into it. Just not great. Not great, Bob. Just really not great. And the defense in front of him, horrific. The pinnacle of the horribleness and the depths that the defense has been and has had this season. Okay. The offense. What offense? Non-existent. Then, so we're down 3-0 5 minutes into the game.
What, 3 goals on 6 shots on Grice?
3 goals on 6 shots. Then, out of nowhere, like 2 minutes later, we then have more shots than Edmonton, and we were down. It was like 6 shots to 1 or 6-2 or something when they had scored their 3rd goal. Then we lead in shots within like 2 or 3 minutes of the 3rd goal being given up. And then mayhem the rest of the game. Absolute pandemonium.
The gates of hell opened in this one, and
yes.
it was anarchy on ice.
Correct.
Scotty, the best way I can verbalize my feelings towards this game is to just show you the game flow map of the Corsi in this game. And I'll explain it for the listeners at home. who aren't watching. But this right here, Scotty, you see this graph? These three blue
Look
dots.
at this graph.
The three blue dots are where Edmonton scores, and you can see
Yep.
the Corsi is heavily on their side, pretty healthily on their side.
Yep.
Now, right after that, or right after the goaltending change, when Nedeljkovic gets in net, it dips starkly to the Red Wings side of things. And then where Marc Staal scores his first goal, it levels out, and then just for the rest of the game.
When Staal scored, it was more in our favor. We were down 3-1. After Marc Stahl's goal, it was more in favor to the Wings than it ever was for Edmonton. And that was halfway through the first period.
So Edmonton Oilers took advantage of Detroit's inability to start games off, which is wild because, Scotty, a month and a half ago, the thing we were praising when we were talking with Locked On New York Rangers, one of the things we kept talking about is how hot the Red Wings start in the first period and how they failed to finish games in the third. Dylan Larkin would always score with a minute and a half left. Or a minute and a half in the
that
first.
flipped the last
It has
month.
absolutely flipped. In the last 10, 11, 12 games, since honestly the Philadelphia Flyers home and home, the Red Wings have had an inability to score goals in the first. Not even score goals, but play competent hockey in the first period. And, obviously our biggest gripe has been defense. But, it's not just defense. Goaltending hasn't been there. Offense hasn't been able to get shots on net. This game, it was just the first 5 minutes. Grice was bad, and Grice was horrible in this one. And
it was rough, man.
Let me focus in on that for a second. Let me focus in on Thomas Grice, Scotty. I gotta, because
go for it, man.
What in the hell is going on with Thomas Grice? So 3 goals on 6 shots today. Game against Calgary, he started 40 saves, stood on his head. It was a 3-0 loss. Would have been way worse without him. Previous games before that, goalie swap, because he couldn't stop a beach ball. And, last season, he was a second-half goaltender. And that's kind of how he's been with the Red Wings. First half of the season, he's been bad. Second half of the season, he's been stellar. This season, first half of the season, he was bad. Came off COVID, hot, for like a week and a half. And now he's just been all over the place. I mean, I don't want to try and figure out Thomas Grice's situation because at this point, it just seems like he's inconsistent, and that's what Thomas Grice is. But so wildly inconsistent. Not like a pretty good game here, pretty bad game here. It's either stellar or horrible. And I know the defense in front of him is not very good right now. And I will grant that. But this is inexcusable.
I want to start a petition to allow the Detroit Red Wings to play every Grice game in Madison Square Garden in New York. That's my petition that I'm going to start. Sign the petition to get the NHL to allow the Red Wings to have MSG just be their home ice whenever Grice is in net.
Yes, let's just do that.
We'd never lose ever again.
Clearly, that's got to be the solution because he's the kryptonite. You know what? That's who we're going to trade him to. The New York Rangers are going to trade for Grice just so that they don't have to face him.
I truly think someone in their division or like someone that has to play the Rangers a lot down the stretch to get to the postseason actually should just lob us like a 6 for them.
Well, and if you want to play devil's advocate too, Scotty, he did face 4 of the 6 shots he faced were in high danger scoring areas, and that does speak to the defense's continued inability to protect goalies down low.
It's really bad.
Going into the next segment, I will show you, and this has become a thing we like to do. We'll show you the heat map, the shot heat map that took place in this game.
I haven't seen it yet
because it's not very good. It's not very encouraging. So yeah, Grice was bad. 3 goals on 6 shots, inexcusable.
Tough.
But we will always grant that the defense did not help out that much, and I'm going to prove that.
Also tough.
But first, I got to talk to you guys today about BetOnline.net. It's that time of the year again as college basketball's tournament is finally upon us. For the latest odds, contests, and player props, BetOnline.net is the #1 source for all your sports betting needs and info. BetOnline remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information needs, including live betting and your favorite Vegas casino games. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline,
BetOnline.
where the game starts. All right, Scotty, are you ready for this?
Oh, I'm ready, baby.
All right, now I have to find the button. Submit form. No, I'm just kidding. Here we go. This is at all situations.
Oh.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
Okay, so there's a lot to break down here.
Describe it
Wow.
in detail for the listener, too. Make sure that
Sure.
people who aren't watching on YouTube know what you're talking about.
I mean, wow. Okay. Wow, all right. So Edmonton, I mean, first off, every single goal is from pretty much right in front of the net.
Yeah, like high danger areas, pretty much every single one.
Right. And not only is every goal from right there, almost all their shots. I mean, there's not really any more red on the for the Oilers outside of a massive Pacific Ocean sized red spot from, I think it goes past the goalie lines behind the net on both ends. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, because 2 goals were scored from behind the net in this game. One for the Red Wings,
right.
one for the Oilers.
So it almost it does. There you go. So it literally goes from circle to circle.
Yes.
But not in the middle, like in the point area, like literally right in front of the net, but from circle to circle. That's some defense right there. That's definitely being played.
And that's why, again, I will reiterate, and I don't want to focus entirely on the first 5 minutes of this hockey game because there are a lot of positives in this game, but it's so detrimental to any success you are trying to have as an organization when in the first 5 minutes you let up 3 goals. And again, Grice's play was you can't make an excuse for 3 goals on 6 shots. That's my fourth time saying
the second goal specifically was really rough.
Really bad. The one McDavid scored. Yeah.
Yeah, that was rough goaltending.
When all 7 of your opponent's goals, well, 6 because one was an empty netter, come from that area, I mean, that just speaks to how poor the defense is. And that's why, even though the Nedeljkovic had an 80 save percentage, I think he played fine in this game. There were a couple of really bad bounces. Ulevi made a really good, in his Red Wings debut, actually had a really solid game. He had a nice blocked shot on Evander Kane, and the puck went right back to Evander Kane, gave him the puck wide, all alone in the slot. Horrible bounce. Another goal against Nedeljkovic went off of Marc Staal. Like, it was just Marc Staal was going down the block to pass, and it unfortunately went off his skate into the net. I mean, it's just those were bad bounces. And, I don't want to, don't want to harp on Grice and make excuses for Nedeljkovic, but these are the facts. This is what happened. Nedeljkovic got unlucky in terms of bounces, but Grice got unlucky in terms of his defense's play in front of him, but he's also got to make the saves.
Yep.
On the positive side of things, the Red Wings heat map is very encouraging in this one. Obviously, Marc Staal had 2 copy and paste goals from the blue line.
Copy and paste, dog. They showed the replay, because I had tweeted out like Marc Staal shows another, and then they did a replay of it, and I was like, oh shoot, like I just screwed up. Like they were just showing a replay of his last one. He didn't score again. And then they were like, oh no, like that's his second of the night. I was like, wait a minute. Like it was straight up the exact same. It was crazy.
No, and like the only difference was like, oh, this one was, glove high rather than, ice level.
Right.
It was no, and that was one of the positives to see. And the heat map for the Red Wings shows increase in pressure down low. And that's where after the first 5 minutes, the Red Wings really came alive offensively. Now, defensively, there was still a lot to be desired, but they did shore that up in the last 55 minutes of that hockey game. They honestly, by all metrics, Scotty, outplayed the Edmonton Oilers outside of those first 55 minutes. I mean, I showed you the Corsi chart where after that third goal got scored for the Edmonton Oilers, it dipped to the Red Wings side, continued going to the Red Wings side, even when Oilers were scoring goals. If you want to go even further than that, my new favorite stat that I talk about is expected goals for percentage. And I don't know how well you can see this on share screen, but if you look at the Red Wings expected goals for percentage by period. First period, 62%. So they had 62% of the quality shots taken in the first period. In the second period, it was 79%. That was the period I thought they definitely played the best. They played a lot of possession. I didn't think they were threatening a lot, but they were shutting down the Oilers a lot, shutting down a lot of their chances a lot. And then the third period, again, 62%. That's by all, intents and purposes, a dominating performance by the Detroit Red Wings. And they gave up 7 goals and lost 7-5.
Yeah.
This team's an enigma, man.
It is. And I think that especially in the second and third periods, and really the first 5 minutes of the game, that really just consistently comes down to we're getting our opportunities. We've been scoring goals. And it's not even, well, I can't even say that. It's even the opposing team doesn't even have possession of the puck like the entire second and third period. We're not losing and the other team is dominating us because they have the puck the entire time. It's just the few times that they do, they are always able to score because our defense and goaltending has been so atrocious.
Yes. And I don't know if you saw that there while I was sharing the screen, but in the second period, and the Red Wings had the highest expected goals for percentage, the Red Wings had 3 high danger scoring chances, while the Edmonton Oilers had 0. That's why it was night and day in the second period. Is the Red Wings were able to shut down the Edmonton Oilers offense because the defense really shored up. And I mean, Ole Ulevi in his first game as a Detroit Red Wing, I think played really solid. I was actually impressed with his play. He had that unfortunate bounce where he blocked the shot, went back to Evander Kane, but I'm not going to make a knee-jerk reaction based on one game, but it was nice to see some competent defense back there.
Yeah, what and
go on
to our standards, sure.
To our standards, yeah. Let's say relative to the Red Wings,
to what we've been getting the rest of this whole season, I guess, sure. But no, it's regardless of all of that. It is still. He had a game that would encourage a lot of people and makes people excited about him playing going forward, and I'm pumped about it. It was fun. It was fun. This game was fun for a little bit, believe it or not.
It was fun for the majority of it. It's just when those weak goals continue to happen or the unlucky bounces, you go, God, this team can't catch a break. I mean, 7 goals against again. That raises, that average goals against that I gave you just yesterday, where it's 5.4. Well, now you let in 7, so that's going to raise that goals against average in the last 10 games. I mean, you can't survive on something like that. I mean, this is, by all intents and purposes, a spiral. And, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm being a dead horse here, but it comes back to that first 5 minutes. Those first 5 minutes don't happen. This is a completely different game. The Red Wings dominate the Edmonton Oilers, but they just can't. They just have had the inability to start hockey games on the right foot recently. And a big part of that.
You know what the crazy thing is, though?
What?
You say we would have dominated, right? You take out the 3 in the first 5 in the empty netter. We would have dominated, and it would have been 5-3.
Yes. No, I mean, that's a solid point.
Like, that's still, you know what I'm saying? Like,
dominated offensively, but defensively is still, that's always going to be a liability.
It's so bad that even when we would dominate a game, you're looking at like a 5-3, like 6-4 final. Like, that's a problem.
Well, you know what, Scotty? You give me that's a perfect segue to bring up the hockey stat card, because this is, it just is further evidence to what we're talking about. Because look at this. The Red Wings had nothing. And this is rare for the Detroit Red Wings in this stretch. Like, in this stretch of where they've been playing poorly, it's been poor across the board. No one's has a positive impact. In this game against the Edmonton Oilers, they got shelled and let in 7 goals, but they dominated offensively. That's the caveat. Because if you look at the hockey stat card, well, everyone's in the positive overall. Sans 3 players, everyone is a negative impact defensively. And it just is.
Look at that.
It's crazy.
This is nonsense.
How does a team that
look at the offense. Look how every single person and their mother was excellent offensively, and just train wrecks on the defensive end, man.
Yeah. I have
My
to
goodness.
I just honestly at this point, man, I have no words. I mean, Sam Gagner having an unreal game. Man,
The king.
let me do one more ad read. Psych, don't have one here. Let's get right into
Psych, I lied.
Psych. I lied. Psych. I don't know why I said psych again. I'm losing my damn mind over this team right now. Going crazy. Let's talk about some of the individual performances in this game. We kind of mentioned, I touched on Olio Uelevi. I touched on Thomas Greiss and Nedeljkovic's performance. Marc Staal had probably his best game as a Detroit Red Wing tonight,
Phenomenal.
last night at this
Career
point.
game 1001.
Yeah.
The
You know,
champ.
He just knows the trade deadline's right around the corner, and he knows that the Edmonton Oilers could use a little bit of defense. Put on a showcase.
Sure. Fair enough.
But no, I mean, it wasn't even just the goal. Like, obviously, Mort Seider got the assist on Marc Staal's first goal. Nice look across. Marc Staal taking a nice slap shot on net. I mean, both those goals were kind of the same situation. I mean, there's just a ton of value to having a guy getting a slap shot. But even after that, he was facilitating plays. He was getting involved offensively. I mean, this is a guy who's not necessarily known as, he's more of an offensive defensive man now in his career, but he's not necessarily been known for that throughout his career. And for the first time ever, he has 2 goals in one game. And even outside those goals, he, like I said, was facilitating plays. He looked good in this game.
He looked fantastic. Yeah, he was running point. I mean, my goodness, he was running point basically. He was running quarterback of the offense for like a majority of his time on the ice. The dude was a monster offensively. I mean, he was clappers at the net, sending rockets. Really, like let like I said, directed play. He was quarterback on the blue line, would wait for somebody to set a screen or wait for somebody to get in front of the net. Just let it rip. I mean, he looked phenomenal. Good passing. He set a couple of people out. I mean, Marc Staal was the man tonight.
And he looked really good. And I mean, there were the other wow. Don't know where my brain was going with that one.
What that was.
I just slurred like 3 sentences together. No, Marc Staal definitely was one of the better looking players in this game. Olio Uelevi as well. He had an expected goals for percentage of like 77 in this game. Although everyone, sounds like 3 players, had a positive impact in this game, scoring chance wise. Literally, there were 3 players underneath 50 on this team, right, on this game, and we lost by 2 goals. This game is mind boggling. But back to the individual performances, because I keep getting distracted by how they dominated possession metrics and lost by giving up 7 goals. So the Dylan Larkin, Lucas Raymond, Vladislav Nemesnikov line and the Pius Suter, Filip Zadina, and Giovanni Smith line were fantastic in this game.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about who looked great up on the second line. Let's talk about it.
There was one specific play where Giovanni Smith came flying down the wing, chasing a free puck. And I tweeted about it. I did not know Giovanni Smith had that kind of speed because that's not the typical game he plays. But he was flying, and I was like, who is that? I honestly was so shocked. It's the king. I was so shocked at his speed that I'm like, why doesn't he utilize that more often? I know physicality is his game, but there's so much value in being able to fly down the wing to beat out opponents to get those open pucks. And you saw it. And this is why one of the reasons why Sam Gagner had, statistically had a great game, because he was getting set up for plays, he was setting up for plays, and he had a great assist or a great goal as well. Well, not a great goal. He had a lucky goal. But Giovanni Smith made that pass to a late in the zone Sam Gagner, who got the shot and then got his own rebound and almost scored immediately. And then Sam Gagner also gave Jacob Vrana a breakaway pass.
For what it's worth, Giovanni Smith scored tonight. Screw high sticking. Giovanni Smith scored a goal tonight. All right, let it be known.
Puck went in the net.
But no, and also for what it's worth, when you looked at the hockey scorecard, he's he was one of the only players that was positive in every facet. He wasn't, a +3 in everything, but he was above 0 in everything,
No.
which
Yeah,
not
here,
too many people could have said tonight because everyone was so horrible defensively.
let me throw that back up on there for you, just so people know what you're talking about. He was 4th from the bottom in overall impact, because his impact on each of those areas was just barely on the positive side of 0, but he was a positive impact in all of those categories. Offensively, defensively, and individual, he was a positive impact, although just barely in each of those categories. But he was playing in a role that a player like himself probably isn't going to be playing that often in his career. He was on the second line, and he looked fun. He looked good.
And I think all of us would commit a crime to get some net zero defense in this place.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just for what it's worth. I think he deserves a ton of credit. I know that I love him, but I think he deserves a ton of credit for stepping up into a second line role and not being a liability in any facet of the game.
Well, and this is where, so you want to talk about net positive defense. The entire first offensive line was a net positive defense. They were net positives all the way around. Larkin, Nemesnikov had a fantastic game defensively and offensively. He created a couple of really good chances, almost scored on one of them. And then, of course, Lucas Raymond. And a big part of that is probably impacted due to Lucas Raymond's goal. I mean, Dylan Larkin going behind the net, picking the pocket of, the goaltender Koskinen and throwing it out front for Raymond to score is going to have a huge effect on swinging that stat card. But I mean, it was a big goal. It tied the game at 5 apiece in the third period. And at that point, you're thinking, okay, well, at this point, anything is going to happen. That's the second time that Dylan Larkin has capitalized on an Edmonton Oilers goaltender mistake this season.
Yeah,
to result in a goal.
That's right.
There was, as bad as the defense was across the board, there was two solid forward lines in this game that were actually playing solid defensively.
Yeah. It's just, this team is ridiculous.
Yeah. And there was also a forward line that was absolutely horrid in this game. And that was the Michael Rasmussen, Adam Ernie, and Taro Hirose line. They logged just 7 minutes and 19 seconds of ice time together. They had an expected goals for percentage of 20% and a negative 50 expected goals for percentage relative. Taro Hirose in his debut had expected goals for percentage himself of 25 points under where you want a player to be. And then his relative was minus 47. So not the best from that fourth line. And a line that had just 7 minutes on the ice probably isn't going to have a huge impact on that, but you don't want to see those numbers that damn low.
Yeah, no, that's
pretty bad.
It's not great. Not great, Bob.
No. Hey, Filip Zadina scored.
Hey, he did, man. It was nice too. That was a rocket. That was one time for the one time. That was a snipe show.
Those are the types of goals that when you draft a guy 6th overall and he's going to fill the pucks with nets, as I tend to say. Those are the types of goals you expect him to score.
Yeah, man. That goal. That one. Wait, I forgot the hashtag. I was gonna set it up. Endorphin pump.
Endorphins pumping.
Endorphins pumping.
Yeah.
That one gets the endorphins pumping.
Did you not like my pun I made on Raymond's goal?
I don't know if I saw it.
I said
I have you muted.
Oh, that makes sense. I said Lucas Raymond scores on a Koski mistake.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what? That's like riding the line of like genius and horrible at the same time.
That's the line I like to ride. That's right where I want to be.
That's right in my wheelhouse, baby.
Yeah, so I guess in the end, there were. I don't want to say there were more positives in this game than there were negatives. It's just like it's really hard to enjoy the 55 minutes of fun, explosive offensive hockey the Red Wings scored when the first 5 minutes basically set them up for failure in this game.
Yeah. Correct. No. Yes. I mean, it was very on brand for both teams. Both teams
Yeah.
played exactly to their brand for this season, more
Well,
so than ever.
and when we were previewing it, we talked about how they're basically just Leon Draisaitl and Connor McDavid. And outside of that, they have a ton of depth issues. And I mean, if the Red Wings are able to capitalize on that, how does this team expect? I mean, they're third in the Pacific Division, but how does this team expect to compete in the playoffs if you can't get past the Red Wings without giving up 5 goals?
Yeah, no, they're. I mean, let it be known their goaltending situation is going to be a problem,
And their defense is going to be a
It's
problem.
yes, absolutely, but yeah,
They're-
everything that's not the top 2 lines offensively is going to be an issue.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Tomorrow's episode, so I want to bring it up now because we have to, but we're just basically teasing it for tomorrow's episode. Frank Saravelli came out and said that the Detroit Red Wings are open to trading Tyler Bertuzzi. And so we are definitely going to be talking about that and breaking down some situations and scenarios on Thursday's episode of Lockdown Red Wings. But as far as wrapping up tonight's episode goes, man, it's tearing me apart. You're tearing me apart, Lisa. Wow, I should not have done that. That was really bad. I'm so sorry. That was awful. I can recognize that. Anyways, I'm not cutting it either. People are going to have to cringe. They're going to have to cringe. Say something, please. Anything at all. Scotty, don't leave me hanging, man. He's not saying anything. Okay. All right. Moving on. It is definitely tearing me apart because they showed signs of life. And I loved the heart and I loved the effort, and I will never take that away. But they got to find a way to start the game off on the right foot and just not give up 5+ goals. Something's got to give.
I think you're wrong. I don't think anything's got to give this season.
You know what? And that's also another great point to bring up on tomorrow's episode is they're so far out of it at this point that maybe it's a blessing in disguise. So that's something else we can talk about tomorrow.
We'll talk about it
on Lockdown Red Wings. Any final thoughts?
Bry, Chevy to the levee, but
the levee was
Bry.
Oh.
Paul Bryan.
All right. Well, on that note,
we ball.
We'll be back with a new episode tomorrow. Same time, same place. It's your team every day.
Every day.